I am giving him a pass, but please stop doing that, Jalen, please. You're making it so hard for me up here.
Feel me?
Okay, please stop.
At 6-1? Hard for you?
Please stop. Because here's what it is. I'm not concerned about him. I'll say what you don't want to talk about Dak, so I'll talk about Dak for you. I feel like we're aligned on this. Correct me if I'm wrong, Shady. I think Jalen Hurts is more clutch. I think he's a better quarterback overall. And I think he finds ways to win games, right? I don't necessarily put Dak all the way in that space because I haven't seen Dak do it yet. I haven't seen Dak get to an NFC Championship game, therefore he hasn't been to a Super Bowl. I've seen Jalen do both. Yes, he is still playing at a high level. When he's not making mistakes, he's still playing at a very high level. And this game was a very impressive win because it's not like they just beat the Dolphins. This is a real blowout win for NFL standards with those mistakes. So imagine what could happen if you just remove those turnovers.
Booby Taylor, with your double D having, curly haired, hypocritical take, low football IQ having ass. I know exactly what to do with you and your takes. Your stupid ass. Oh my goodness, here we are again with yet another horrific Joy Taylor take as it pertains to the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott, and somehow in a segment about Jalen Hurts and his turnovers, Joy Taylor found a way to make this about my quarterback. Now, at this point, we all know Joy Taylor is a football mind in which you don't take seriously. She's clearly been brought on speak simply to appease the thirsty dudes out there, and she's essentially just here for the sex appeal quota. Because it damn sure ain't for her football knowledge, especially since she's going so far out of her way to stick to the script that they have decided on since last season. Her and her husband, Shady McClown, have decided that no matter what happens on the football field, they're going to continuously go on national television to make themselves not only look like hypocrites, but absolute jokes. Now, Joy Taylor was talking about Jalen Hurts' clear turnover problem with the Philadelphia Eagles and how he's such a winner and able to compel his team to victory when in fact in most of these games in the season, the Eagles defense and their running game is what has actually saved them. They're giving credit for what the team is accomplishing strictly to the quarterback when he has not been a catalyst of anything outside of getting 3 thumbs shoved up his ass as he pushes across the goal line in 1-yard situations. Nonetheless, she made the very, very faulty statement that, oh, Jalen Hurts' turnovers aren't an issue because his team is still winning. He's still pushing his team to victory because they got heart. Oh, by the way, are we sure that Jalen Hurts' interceptions aren't hurting the Philadelphia Eagles? Are we sure he's the one responsible for them still pulling off these miraculous victories outside of the fact that they're playing subpar teams and have performed subpar as well? Actually, the numbers show he's not. If you take a look game by game, 4 of these games have essentially been decided by 1 possession, or 1 possession was really the turning factor in the game. And I want to go over 4 of these games. We have the New England Patriots, we have the Vikings, we have the Commanders, and we have the Rams. Now in the New England Patriots game, the Eagles only accounted for 1 offensive touchdown the entire game. And that actually happened in the first quarter when Devontae Smith caught a 5-yard pass from Jalen Hurts. They also got aided by a Darius Slay 70-yard interception touchdown return, but the rest of their scores were field goals. And if you take a look, Jalen Hurts only had 170 yards and 1 touchdown in that game. DeAndre Swift and that running game is what actually propelled the Eagles to win that game and got the majority of the field position needed for the final 3 field goals they kick in order to actually solidify their lead and ensure a victory over the Patriots. So that win wasn't led by Jalen Hurts. Now, if we go to the Minnesota Vikings, this one was 28-34 in favor of the Eagles, and the game-deciding touchdown drive, which gave the Eagles 34 points and put them out of reach of the Vikings' comeback hopes, was led by DeAndre Swift. Nearly the entire drive outside of a 12-yard pass to A.J. Brown was all DeAndre Swift, not Jalen Hurts. Again, another win not led by the QB. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the Washington Commanders. This game went to overtime. What was the deciding drive in that game? Who was it led by? What happened? What was the context of said game? Again, another game in which DeAndre Swift was the primary factor in allowing the Eagles to kick the game-winning field goal. If you take a look at that last drive, Jalen Hurts actually did more negative on that drive than he did positive. He took a negative gain on the play as well as being flagged for an intentional grounding, making their game-winning field goal a 50-yarder instead of something much more manageable. So again, the Eagles won that game more so in spite of what Jalen Hurts was contributing on that final drive. And then we have the LA Rams. This one, I guess you can give Jalen Hurts a little bit of credit for. He ran for 17 yards on the scramble, and he was able to complete a pretty long pass to A.J. Brown for 24 yards. On the deciding drive, Jalen Hurts did play his part in securing the victory against the lowly Rams. I guess that is one game out of the 4 actual close games they've had that Jalen Hurts carried the lion's share of the work in actually securing the victory. Yeah, about that. You're gonna act like we didn't just see 2 weeks ago when Shady McClown disappeared off of this show, when Jalen Hurts threw multiple interceptions in the game and was the reason that the Philadelphia Eagles lost a game, when he threw a pick 6 that led to the game-leading touchdown for the other team in the Cleveland Browns. We're just gonna act like that didn't happen? Oh, or are we going to keep going back to Dak Prescott's year last year, in which admittedly he was battling a broken freaking thumb the whole year, and he didn't have his best year, although the Cowboys still went 12-5, lost only 4 games when Dak Prescott was back, one of which being against the Green Bay Packers in overtime, another of which being against the Jacksonville Jaguars in overtime, which, if you don't remember, that was the game in which Noah Brown had a ball ricochet straight off of his chest for the game-winning interception there. And the other loss was to the Washington Commanders when the Cowboys didn't care or have anything to play for in the last week of the season. He got hurt in week 1 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, in which he didn't have that great of a game. But we're going to seriously act like that even though he had this huge turnover problem last year, his team wasn't able to continue to win even with those turnovers? There was actually 5 games last year in which Dak Prescott had turnovers, and some of them he had actually more than one, and the Cowboys still managed to win that game. So that in itself completely defeats the argument that you just made, especially since we just saw Jalen Hurts' turnovers cost the Eagles a game. So you said that the Cowboys can't win when Dak Prescott turns the ball over, or Dak Prescott is not capable of leading his team to victory when he turns the ball over, and that is objectively false. Oh, and we want to continue to act like Dak Prescott just had this terrible year last year? Oh, well, let's just take a look at that, shall we? The first game of the season and the last game of the season were his worst games of last year. The first game, that's the game he broke his thumb in, and the Cowboys came out looking extremely sluggish against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The last game was a game that the Cowboys had nothing to play for, so I think that was more of a toss-away game than anything, and honestly was probably Dak's worst statistical game, which again, that game meant absolutely nothing. But every other game outside of those 2 games were actually pretty damn good. And that's the thing that people are forgetting about last year, that yes, he had 15 interceptions and only played 12 games or whatever it may have been. But guess what? In those 12 games he played, more than half of those games, he had 100+ quarterback rating, which means he played a damn good game in majority of the games he appeared in last season. And the half that he didn't have that 100+ quarterback rating in, he had a respectable rating at either 85.6 or 91.1. But contrary to popular belief, Dak Prescott didn't have this super bad season last year. And I guess honestly this should be taken as a compliment, because people look at a season like this in which you're able to see the quarterback rating totals, which gives you a good idea as to how effective the quarterback was overall in a game. In literally 80% of the games that Dak Prescott played last season, he was money, bro. And then we want to talk about who's a proven winner and who isn't. Dak has played over 100 games in the National Football League and has a record of 65-38. Most quarterbacks that have ever played in the NFL would die to have a win record of more than 60% in the National Football League as a starting quarterback. Dak Prescott has a more impressive career resume than Jalen Hurts. Just like Josh Allen, everyone is elevating Jalen Hurts to a level in which he honestly is not ready to be in yet, because anybody that's objectively watched the Eagles this season, while they have managed to keep winning through their issues, they haven't really played much competition, and their strongest competition was the Miami Dolphins, which was missing literally half of their offense and some of the most important defensive players on the field, including both of their starting cornerbacks. So how impressive is that really? We qualify everything when it comes to Dak Prescott, but no one's bringing up the fact that Miami pretty much rolled in their B team against the Eagles, and the game was still within reach late into that ball game. Why was the game in reach? Because Jalen Hurts turned the ball over 2 times yesterday. That's why the game was in reach against a team that had no business still being able to compete with the Eagles with the pieces that they were missing, including 3 offensive linemen, their starting running back, a starting wide receiver, 2 starting cornerbacks, and other players on the field. Either way, the skit between Mr. and Mrs. Shady McClown is getting super old, and to be real, it's kind of just getting downright pathetic. Shady has cemented itself as an absolute joke in the sports talk world already. No one takes him seriously, and probably only Philadelphia Eagles and Buffalo Bills fans actually like this dude. And Boobie Taylor, we know why you're here. Stick that chest out, keep your mouth closed, and maybe speak would be just a little bit less insufferable. Be sure to follow your boy on X at Dak Attack Show. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any uploads, and hit that notification bell. As always, y'all know how we end these videos. How about them Cowboys? Take it away, Pastor.
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still them boys? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Hey! I'm still them boys.